Seth MacFarlane is upset with the Oscars management. That's right. He questions their judgment on this topic. We're going to get into it. Monkeys, roll the footage.
Yeah, that works.
I like
all right,
that a lot.
okay. All right, moving on.
Hey, what about Tulip?
Orville creator and actor Seth MacFarlane describes Oscar's decision to not mandate vaccines a colossal abdication of responsible management. You know, this really hits close to home for me. You guys that are familiar with the channel and have been around know I do a lot of Family Guy impressions. I've been a huge fan of Family Guy. I'm a fan of the Orville. You know, it's a fun show. I think Seth did a great job. It is a wonderful love letter to Star Trek. I think The Next Generation in particular. You know, I didn't watch religiously as a kid, but I watched it every now and then. You know, enough to know the general characters and, you know, it sees a lot of the similarities, obvious similarities between the Orville and that. But Seth is, we know, he's kind of one of those typical Hollywood, you know, folks with their, you know, prepackaged and approved talking points. And this is no exception to that. You know, it's a case of, well, I can't say never meet your heroes, but just don't follow your heroes on social media or pay attention to anything they say in the news media whatsoever if you want to continue to enjoy their work. I'll still watch the Orville. Absolutely. I love the show, and it's part of being an adult, being able to separate the art from the artist. The Orville and Family Guy creator Seth MacFarlane described the Oscars' decision not to mandate vaccines for guests a colossal abdication of responsible management. You know, and I don't think it is. I think it's just go, you get a test. I'm not going to talk specifics on the vaccine, the jab. I have to say this now because I'm monetizing, because YouTube, Mama Susan will get mad. If you want to look into getting the information you need about anything medical, consult your doctor, your individual doctor that handles your medical needs, not YouTubers or podcast hosts, because we are a lot of things, but, well, I mean, there's a few of us that are doctors. Not me. I just play one on TV. The Hollywood Reporter claimed they learned the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Science is not planning to mandate proof of vaccination with or without a booster in order to attend this year's ceremony. You know, the whole, and Gina Carano getting fired over making a correlation between what was going on with the, you know, the vaccines, the mandates, the rift in society over this pandemic was absolutely, she was spot on, and they silenced her, and that's exactly what they've done since. And then they've walked back a lot of things they've said. The government has walked back so many things and claims that they've made, and this whole show me your papers thing, this is a little too close to home. They noted they will instead be requiring attendees to have a negative PCR test or a negative rapid antigen test on the day of the event. And having taken multiples of those, they're not accurate. Negative on a home one when I was positive. Nobody cares about the Oscars. And half the movies, I don't watch the movies that are made for the Oscars because it is ridiculous. Half of them are just, they're made for that show, for that purpose, to garner that trophy. And they end up being these, you know, self-aggrandizing pieces of just...
You're both pieces of shit. Yeah, I can prove it mathematically. Actually, let me grab my whiteboard.
MacFarlane reacted to this information on Twitter, writing, "Really, Oscars? This would seem, from the outside looking in, a colossal abdication of responsible management." He added, "I cannot fathom what a piece of information we might be missing that would justify this." Well, Seth, why don't you just stick to being funny? Let the experts stick to what they do. And if the people that are running this have obviously consulted somebody that said, you know what, this is the best way to move forward with this. Well, the article goes on to claim why they did this. There's ulterior motives here. It's Hollywood, so of course there's ulterior motives. The Hollywood Reporter suggests a reason a mandate is not required is that more than a few high-profile industry figures, including at least one of last year's acting winners, prominent members of the cast of multiple Best Picture nominees, as well as nominees in other categories, would otherwise be precluded from attending the Oscars. Oh, they're not vaccinated. Oh no. Oh my. Who would have thought that we would end up here? I miss the days where we could argue with the weirdos in comment sections about whether we were sexist or not for not liking Captain Marvel, or how bad The Rise of Skywalker was going to be. It seems like forever ago when the first season of Tiger King came out, when it was still actually funny. Remember that?
Pepperidge Farm remembers.
This report of the Oscars not requiring a vaccine mandate comes as the 5th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in New Orleans declined to remove an injunction on President Joe Biden and his administration for mandating that federal employees be vaccinated. And that's something that hit really close to home because my wife was forced to get vaccinated. You know, I didn't want her to, but she had to. It's now they've walked that back, and it's like we both had COVID. I had lesser symptoms than she did, and she's double vaxxed. So I can speak from personal experience and saying, like, for me, it was honestly, and you guys know, I took a week off from the show, obviously, because I was stuffy, I sounded horrible, and I was like, ugh, I was lethargic. That was basically the worst of it. I had 2 nights where I couldn't sleep very well. I had body aches and stuff. Nausea for about 1 day, and after that it was an annoying head cold. That was the entirety of it. Biden previously announced in September he would require federal employees to receive mandatory vaccines. In an EO, Biden wrote, "Each agency shall implement to extent consistent with applicable law a program that required COVID-19 vaccination for all of its federal employees, with exceptions as only required by law." Yeah, which is a religious mandate or religious exemption and is very difficult to prove or get. Towards the end of January, Judge Jeffrey Brown put an injunction on this EO, writing, "Regardless of what the conventional wisdom may be concerning vaccination, no legal remedy adequately protects the liberty interests of employees who must choose between violating a mandate of doubtful validity or consenting to an unwanted medical procedure that cannot be undone." That is the problem right there. Because once you've had it, you know, it's like opening Pandora's box. What comes out cannot be put back in, and what goes in of your body like that cannot be extracted. If it was only like the ether in Thor: The Dark World, but nothing else about Thor: The Dark World, but it was still better than Ragnarok. Judge Joe Brown also noted that the president did not have the authority to issue a federal worker mandate, citing the recent Supreme Court case where the Supreme Court Justice Gorsuch declared, "Although Congress has indisputably given OSHA the power to regulate occupational dangers, it has not given that agency the power to regulate public health more broadly." Gorsuch added, "Requiring the vaccination of 84 million Americans simply because they work for employers with more than 100 employees certainly falls into the latter category," and it absolutely does. On top of these legal rulings against mandatory vaccines, Dr. Robert Malone, who describes himself as the inventor of the mRNA vaccines and DNA vaccines, recently criticized the current vaccine policy in the U.S. by saying, "If we continue to pursue the universal vaccination strategy in the face of the pandemic, particularly with Omicron now, a much more highly infectious, highly replication, competent virus, what we risk is driving the virus through basic evolution to a state where it may be more pathogenic and more able to elude immune response." He added, "So in sum, I don't wish to scare, we've had enough fear porn. But if we continue to pursue universal vaccination, the high probability is what we will continue to see is the evolution of additional escape mutants that are increasingly infectious and may well become more pathogenic. This policy of forced universal vaccination is absolutely contrary to all of our understanding about basic viral evolution. We are clearly seeing the development of escape mutants that are resistant to the vaccine. Omicron is not only resistant to the vaccine, but its infectivity seems to be facilitated by the vaccine. And in my opinion, this must stop for the sake of the world," he concluded. Financial Times also reports a 4th dose of the biotech Pfizer vaccine is largely ineffective in stopping Omicron infections, despite boosting antibodies, an Israeli hospital study showed. And Israel is one of the most vaccinated countries per capita in the world, and yet they still have tons of cases of COVID. The report added healthcare workers at the Sheba Medical Center who received a 4th dose of the vaccine, God, 4 doses, continue to get infected even though blood tests showed an increase in 2 key kinds of antibodies, according to Professor Gili Regev Yoshe, who led the research. So that was scientific evidence that I presented in this article by professionals that was gathered and, presented by professionals and reported on by John F. Trent from Bounty in the Comics from yesterday. Big shout out to them. And Seth MacFarlane is standing by his statement that this is a colossal abdication of responsible management. Let's take this thing home.
Oh, no, 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 no.
At this stage of the game, I don't know why Seth is more worried about what other people are doing than if he actually has anything that's award worthy or not, which I don't know if it is. And the Orville is delayed for a couple months, which, now I don't feel as bad for Seth. I feel more bad for the fans that, like me, that want to see the show. We've been waiting so long. It's been like since 2017. So that's a long time to wait. But I'm Itepokui, and so what do you guys think? Now it's your turn. Do all the YouTube things. Opine in the comments. Share the video. If you're not subscribed, subscribe today. Ding the bell for notifications. As I said, make sure you comment down below. And that's it, gang. I'm out of here. I'll be back tomorrow night over on Echo Base Network, and possibly another video tomorrow. So I'm Itepokui of the Place to Be Reviews. I've been here with all of yous. And remember,
it's better to burn out than to fade away.